Hi, and welcome to HRS 5200, Assistive Technology for Seating and Mobility. I'm Carmen DeGiovanni. It's a beautiful day outside, so I figured I'd come outside to record my videos. Don't be surprised if somebody accidentally walks through the frame. This week we are talking about Module 8, Manual Mobility for individuals who have someone else propel for them, or the dependent propeller. But before I get to that, just another note about metacognition and Bloom's taxonomy. So I'm reading this book, like I told you, Teach Students How to Learn by Sandra Yancey McGuire. Really enjoying it, and so just want to comment a little bit more about what I'm reading. So remember from last week I talked a little bit about Bloom's taxonomy. Undergrad students should be focused on remembering, understanding, and applying the concepts. Grad students, in addition, should be focusing on analyzing, evaluating, and creating. I also want to talk a little bit about the study cycle. So the study cycle that comes from LSU, Louisiana State University, that Sandra Yancey McGuire uses in the book, or talks about in the book, has 5 steps: preview, attend class, review, attend study sessions, and assess. And that's great for an in-person course, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about it for an online course, such as the one you're in now. For the preview, that just means reading the module overview and the reading overviews that I provide each week. Spend about 10-15 minutes on it. Attending class, step 2, that means just completing the readings, going through the readings and watching the lectures. And Sandra Yancey McGuire has some examples on how to do that. Just taking notes based on the headers and the subheaders within the text is a good way to do it. Review the topics, so determine the key points and generate questions. And if you have a question, send it to me via Carmen Canvas mail. I get bored sometimes and like to see these questions come through. And if I get enough of those questions, then I'll post a response to everybody. Complete an intense study session. So those are the learning activities. So you want to complete an intense study session to get ready for a quiz, or to complete some of the learning activities, the tech evaluations, or the case studies, the discussion posts that I have around the case studies. And then finally, you always should stop and spend 10 or 15 minutes assessing what you've learned. Reflect on what you've learned, not what you've studied. What are the key takeaways that you should hold with you as you go from module to module to module, and then on into your professional career. So just want to review Module 7 for a second, Manual Mobility for the individual that can propel a wheelchair independently. Manual mobility is all about the numbers, and just as a bonus, in the overview for Module 8, I provided some links to the Northwest Regional Spinal Cord Injury System. Hopefully you find those links helpful, because they have some great videos on wheelchair skills. For the learning activities for Module 7, you had a video demo, the anatomy of a manual wheelchair, and you also read and reviewed Chapter 9. For your assignments from the last module, undergrad and grad students had the quiz on postural support and pressure management. I did find one error with one of the questions, so a couple people pointed that out to me, so I'll be going back and fixing that. And then the discussion, everybody had to do a tech evaluation discussion number 2. The grad students, in addition to those, the tech eval discussion and the quiz, had to do a rebuttal and start on and complete case report number 1, the second part. So that was the completion of the case report number 1. It's a great opportunity to, as I talked about in Bloom's taxonomy, synthesize the materials for the entire course. A module. Oh, here we go. Got lost for a second. That happens. In Module 8, we talk about individuals who need somebody to help them propel a manual wheelchair. For these individuals, manual mobility is all about comfort and support for the individual, and ease of maneuverability and propulsion for the individual propelling the wheelchair. I also, because we're coming to the end of manual wheelchairs, provided a table that compares textbook terminology, the terminology that we use in the textbook, to the terminology that CMS uses, the Centers for Medicaid, and Medicare services. This will help you better understand, especially on the United States side, how these terms intertwine with each other or how they cross over with each other. I also provide some links to forms and checklists on the DME MAC site that's specific for Ohio. And the DME MAC has the local coverage determinations that focus on this region. There's 4 areas or 4 regions that have 4 different local coverage determinations. I thought I'd post the ones for Ohio, but if you're in another area of the country, then you can easily look up those as well. Once again, I recommend that if you have a chance, checking out a few manual wheelchairs in the community, either with an assistive technology supplier or an assistive technology clinic. And the learning activities for this module are Chapter 14 in the Seating and Wheel Mobility textbook. I also just wanted to give you a reminder that we'll be using the standardized terminology and measurements from Chapter 6. And then our assignments for this Module 8, for the undergrad students, we have the Wheel Mobility Environmental Assessment Part 1. And for the grad students, we have both the Wheel Mobility Environmental Assessment Parts 1 and 2. And then everybody will also do the quiz. I also added a survey this week. The survey is an end of Module 8 check-in, but really I'm using it as a check-in not only for the end of Module 8, but for the end of the first half of the semester, because we're through half of the semester already. Cannot believe it. For some cool stuff in assistive technology, well, I didn't include any cool stuff for assistive technology this week, but I wanted to point out for those of you that are graduating either this spring or in the summer that you need to fill out some forms in order to get the certificate, the ART-C certificate on your transcript. That's for the students who are in the ART-C program, the Assistive and Rehabilitative Technology Certificate Program. For undergrad students, you have to complete a survey. The links to the survey are on my notes, and also I sent the link out in the ART-C Hub. And for grad students, you do that through gradforums.osu.edu. In closing, just want to remind you about the importance of metacognition and Bloom's taxonomy. Complete the anonymous mid-semester check-in survey. It provides constructive feedback for me, so keep it kind as you're putting in the notes, putting in your comments. And then the last thing is I just want to let everybody know that we're having an assistive technology tour and overview session on March 10th at 4:30 p.m. So if you're local to Columbus and you want to come to that, you have 2 options. The first option is you can go and sign up on the ART-C Hub website. The students who are in the certificate program should have access to the ART-C Hub and can sign up there. If you don't have access to the ART-C Hub or you're just not sure, go ahead and send me an email through Carmen Canvas to sign up for it. We're limiting it to 12 students, so we're trying to keep track of everybody that plans on attending. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and have a great week. Thanks.